Hi, this is Dave and welcome to the Table, a series of videos where I review and discuss various board and card games looking at them from a family perspective. Today we're going to be taking a look at Djibouti from John Jansen. Now this is a 2 to 6 player card game where you take on the role of an entrepreneur in the former French colony of Djibouti in present-day Africa. Now, during this game, you're going to have to use your capital to invest in small and large ventures to build the biggest business empire. Let's take a look at this game, how it's played, and I'll come back and I'll give you my thoughts. Okay, let's take a look at the components that come in Djibouti, and over on the right here we see these cubes over here, and these are called capital cubes, and each player will receive 10 of them at the start of the game, so one color for each player. We also have this lead entrepreneur token, which will signify who the first player is for each round. Now there are 3 different card types that are used in Djibouti, and the first ones here on this side here are the small venture cards, and let's take a look at them because they serve multiple functions. First of all, they can be used as currency to pay for other cards so that you can discard them and use them as money. For example, here if we look at this Camion Transport here, in order to build this card we would discard 2 cards out of our hand to pay for it as a building cost of 2. Now these cards can also be built like I just explained here. They will give you victory points and they will allow you to put capital cubes into play in the game. And finally they can be discarded and to use the action at the bottom of the card, which will allow you to move cubes around. So that's what the function of these cards are here. We also have these large venture cards here, which eventually we will be able to get cubes moved onto here, and if you are the one with the most cubes on here, you will be able to receive victory points for them. And they will also allow you to get extra benefits during the game as noted on the bottoms of the cards. Now, one thing too is these cards are divided up into sets here. So we have these supply contracts, which are green. We have some different ports here, which are blue cards. We have this airport here. We have these gray cards, which are part of the Doralay petroleum industry. And so as these cards start coming out, if you start diversifying where your investments are going, you will receive additional victory points based upon how many of each you have invested in. And then finally we have a player reference card here, which will give you the turn order and what's going to happen during each phase. There's a little space here to remind you of your turns that you have. And then finally up in the corner here we have a reminder of the 4 different set icons that are in the large venture cards. Okay, now that we've gone over the components, let me get this game set up and I will show you how to play. Okay, to set up Djibouti, there's a few things that you need to do. First of all, you need to take this Port of Djibouti card and set this off to the side, and the rest of the large venture cards, you will shuffle them up and you will deal 7 of them face down here, and the remaining cards will be placed out in the game box. They're not used in this particular game. And then we place the Port of Djibouti card on top. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to deal each player this Veneur de Roue, and this is going to be one of the cards that will be starting in your hand. The rest of the small venture cards will be shuffled up, and then 3 additional cards will be dealt to each player. So we'll have a starting hand of 4 cards. Next, each player will take a player reference card and their 10 capital cubes of the color that they choose. And then whatever method that you choose to use, you will determine who the lead entrepreneur is going to be and give them the token. So they will be the first player for that particular round. Now, one of the things that's not included in the game that I decided to use was I grabbed just a regular token marker and I placed it on the ones for each of the cards, and I'll use these as I take my actions to keep track of my actions as we go along here. Now, to get this game started here, the first thing that we will do is at the beginning of the round is that we will reveal the top card of this large venture deck here. And so this is the Port of Djibouti, and I want to show you a few different things that we have going on with these cards. First of all, there's 2 different point systems that are on here. This one here where it says it's worth 6 victory points is going to be for the biggest investor here. So at the end of the game, whoever has the most capital cubes on here will receive 6 victory points. And then down at the bottom here, there's another set of scoring points here, and this is going to be for strategic investing points. And so when I mentioned in the part of the game part overview that these are in different sets, well, the more of this particular port type that we have invested in here, these different ports, the more victory points that you will receive. So for example, if you are if you have cubes on 2 different ports, you'll receive 4 victory points, 3 you'll have 6, and 4 you have 8. And then also during one of the other phases of the game, if you happen to have a capital cube on here, you will be able to draw a couple of extra cards into your hand. So that would be a good benefit there as well. So now what's going to happen is on our turn, we are going to go around and be able to take 3 different actions. And so the goal is to be able to invest in these different ventures that we have in order to make money. So if we look at our cards here, I want to show you a few different things. First of all, we have this Vendeur de Roue. And up in the corner here is going to be the cards play, the cost to build this. So this would cost 1 to build, and it will allow you to put 1 capital cube onto this card. It's also worth 1 victory point, but this can also be paired with this stade, or stade, however you pronounce this, and it will double the number of victory points that you have. Or we can choose to discard this, and we would be able to take an action, which would be allowing you to move a cube from a large venture card to a small venture card. So we have a bunch of different things here, and if we want to get started, we have a few different things that we want to do. So I decide that I want to build this taxi, and so this is going to cost me 1. So to build this, what I will do is I have to discard a card here. So I'll just take 1 from my hand, and I will discard this here to pay that 1 cost for that. This will allow me to have 1 capital cube put onto that particular card. And then now this play is going to go around clockwise, and each player is going to do the same thing here. They will choose to build a pharmacy here, and they will discard their other 3 cards. And they will be able to put 2 cubes on this particular card. And we'll finally, this third player here will go through and look at their cards, and maybe we're going to build this bread making facility here. So this one costs 2, so I will discard 2 cards here, and we will put 1 cube here. Now that we've done that, we'll go on to our second action, and we'll do the same thing. Now what I may choose to want to do here, I don't have anything in my hand that will allow me to do it on this particular one, is to be able to discard a card to take an action. So what I'm going to do is I will build this Vendeur de Roue, and I will discard this other card, and I'll put a capital cube here. This player here does not have any more cards to do for the rest of the game, so one of the other options that we can do is we can choose to draw a card, and we'll take that into our hand here. This one over here, we have 1 card in our hand. We'll choose to draw a card as well. And back to, for my third action, I will draw a card into my hand here. And this one, what I will do is I will choose to use this particular action to move a small venture cube to a large, or move a cube from a small venture card to a large venture card. So if I discard this for its action, I will be able to take 1 of these, and I'll be able to move it onto one of the cards here for their third action. And this one here, we will draw another card here. So now that we have come, this is essentially 1 round of actions. So what we're going to do now is we have a couple different things that we're going to do. First, we will take 2 cards into our hand, and this is the refresh phase. This particular guy here, since he's got a cube here, will be able to draw 2 additional cards, so he will draw 4 cards into his hand. So he'll take 4 cards, put them into his hand over here, and this one over here will draw 2 cards. Now once we've done that, now we have to enforce the hand limit, which is 4 cards in this game, unless there are additional large venture cards that will allow us to have more. This one has only 3, so we're okay. This one over here has 4 cards, we're okay. But this one over here has 5 cards, so we're going to have to discard down one of them. So we have a couple of taxis here, so I'm going to discard this taxi here. And then finally, what we're going to do is we will move to the next start player. Now, the next round here, what we will be able to do now is we reveal the next large capital card here. And we're going to continue going around, taking our 3 actions and playing our cards. Now, one of the things that we can do with actions here is to be able to, let me show you one of the cards, if I have one, to show you one of the actions. For example here, this Camion Transport. If we look at the bottom here, one of the actions is we can move one of our capital cubes from one large venture to another. So as the game progresses and more cards start coming out, we can choose to play one of those cards to move a cube from one place to another. Or we can choose to move one of our opponent's cubes off of somewhere so that we can have the majority. So we have this bit of area control going on with these large venture cards. And so this is going to continue until all 8 of these cards have been played, and then we will tally up the number of victory points, and whoever has the most points wins the game. All right, let's talk about Djibouti here, and I'm glad that I came across this one because this is an excellent game. Now, this is a heavier type game that is steeped in strategy with elements of hand management and set collection and area control, and so this makes for a very satisfying gaming experience when playing Djibouti. Now, there is a lot that's going on in this game, and it's very fast paced because you have 3 actions per round and you have to make every move count. And so what you're going to have to do is try to get the most victory points, but you're going to have to make decisions every step of the way because it's going to come about to how you're going to use those cards that you have in your hand. You have to manage your hand properly. You have to make the decision of if you're going to build a small venture in order to get some of your capital cubes out. Are you going to, which cards in your hand you're going to use to spend as money, and which cards you may choose to discard to take their action. So every single thing is going to require some thinking about and making the proper decision in order to be successful. Now, you know, in this game we are entrepreneurs, and so there is a lot of risk, and so that whole risk taking really comes through in that game and how you manage your hand. Now, along with that, there are some things that make this game stand out. It's just not just building a business empire, but you're going to have to really be strategic in where you're placing your capital cubes, because on those large ventures, you can make a lot of points if you spread out your capital cubes and you use your actions wisely. If you can diversify your investing in one particular type, for example, your like ports, for example, if you are able to get invested in multiple ports, you're going to yield more points. And then obviously if you're the biggest investor in one particular location, you'll be able to get those victory points. And so yeah, the large venture cards, they play a big huge role, and also you can use some of your cards in your hand to move some of your opponent's cubes off of there, so you can kind of essentially push them out of that industry and push them somewhere else. So so you can use that particular aspect again for area control. Now, in addition to the large venture cards, you also have to make decisions with what small venture cards you're going to play. And because number one, you want to get the most capital cubes out so that you can be working with them as possible, but you also want to be strategic in if you can pair them together with other cards to give you more victory points. So there's a lot of strategy in playing cards and moving your cubes around, and so it's really a heavy thinking game. Now, this game reminds me a lot of the game San Juan, which is something that I really enjoy and that was later re-implemented as Race for the Galaxy. But this game has different elements, that make it stand on its own. So it's not a copy of San Juan. But the why I see them as being the same is that the cards serve multiple purposes. You can either play them or you can spend them as money. And I love that particular aspect in a card game where cards serve as multiple functions, because it just increases the strategy of the game and the overall thinkiness of it, because you have to really manage your hand. So this is something that really stands out with this game. This is just something that is a really enjoyable gaming experience, and I think I've said that before. Now, looking at this game from a family perspective, there's a couple of things that are really stand out for me, and number one is that you will be able to get a lot of extra information on the flavor text of the card. So it's going to kind of increase your knowledge base because of a lot of the information that's on the cards. Also, if you don't speak French, the card titles are French. So if you want to learn the proper pronunciation, you can certainly look them up on the internet and get yourself, like one of the pronunciator programs, and so it will teach you to properly say the words. So you're going to learn a foreign language playing this game. Now, this game is not for younger players because there's so much that's going on, but I believe that you can teach a teenager to play this game, and it's really going to enhance your decision-making skills, and it's going to give you an overall feel of being an entrepreneur and what are good investment choices, and that really comes through in this game. So those really cool elements come through in playing Djibouti. Now, if you are interested in getting a copy of this, it can be ordered through the Game Crafter, and I will have a link in the video description below. And I would highly encourage you to pick this up. If you enjoy games like San Juan or Race for the Galaxy, this would be something that would fulfill that desire and give you some more aspects of the game, because you will also have your set collection and area control as well. So anyways, that's it for now, and join me again next time as we take a look at another game and we see how it makes it to the table.